Welcome to another session of the 2020 GovHack Virtual Conference. We're a festival of ideas using open government data to make our communities better places. GovHack is an international competition for people of all abilities who seek to make life better through open data. In a couple of weeks, on the weekend of the 14th to the 16th of August, thousands come together in what has become one of the world's largest open data competitions. We are hoping to deliver an interactive experience through YouTube. So if you're currently viewing the embedded videos through our hackerspace, either click on the video title at the top or the logo, the YouTube logo at the bottom to open it into a new browser window and join the conversation. GovHack's lead corporate international sponsor this year is Infosys. We will hear from Jacob Koshi, who is the head of practice, engagement, artificial intelligence, and automation for Asia Pacific at Infosys. Infosys's partner, UiPath, will present a session on robotic process automation. We'll hear from Dan Kieran and Smit Rathor, both from UiPath. First up, we have Jacob. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Matt. Good to have you all here watching this demonstration from UiPath. So Jacob here. When Infosys was looking at finding ways to improve upon this year's GovHack event, one of the ideas that we were tossing around was to look at how can we accelerate the idea development exercise for yourselves, the contestants who are joining this year's GovHack event. And on further brainstorming, the topmost idea that came to our mind was RPA, robotic process automation, that helps fasten the process to business processes or any process that you talk about by removing rule-based mundane work from people and using software to automate it. And it was no brainer for us to request and partner with UiPath, the global leader in this space, to support this GovHack event to bring about a great acceleration in the development of your ideas. UiPath is a global partner of Infosys, and it's my privilege to have them on board with us running this event this time in partnership with GovHack. And without much ado, I would like to hand over to Dan Kieran, who is a global SI lead from UiPath, to take us through the proceedings. Over to you, Dan. Thank you.
Hey, Jacob. Thank you very much. And good evening and welcome, everybody. As Jacob and Matt said, my name is Dan Kieran. I'm here today with Smit Rathor, based out of our Sydney offices, global company, local representation. We're both with UiPath Australia. We're really excited to be here, especially working with another fantastic project with our partners over at Infosys. And we're looking forward to, this is our inaugural GovHack. So looking forward to being part of this GovHack 2020. Hopefully, we'll make a good investment in your time tonight. So since RPA, or robotic process automation, is still relatively young technology, we thought we'd start assuming that everybody is new to it. So our goal by the end of this session is to have everybody understand what RPA is, and hopefully you'll then be excited to embed some form of RPA into your project, to know where to learn more. So based on what we cover, so there's people who've spent years and years getting better at this technology. So we'll point you to where those resources are. We have a broad library online to assist. We'll show you where to grab a copy of the software, whether that be to use out of the cloud or on premise, and then understand what mentorship and support is going to be available on the weekend. So without further ado, we'll kind of move forward. RPA. So RPA is a reasonably new technology, meaning it's probably been around for 3 to 4 years in its current edition. Really what it does is it mimics human activity. And when I say it mimics human activity, it mimics the hands and the eyes, but not the mind of an individual. It's non-invasive, it does not change the applications, doesn't change security settings or anything of that nature. It's quick to deploy, very, very quick to get a return on. And it really connects disparate islands of applications and functionality to it. Many people that start to adopt it see it as an accelerator for digital transformation. And attended robots tend to be very, very high visibility in the field too. So effectively, any high volume rule-based, repeatable process qualifies for automation. So all that mundane, boring, tedious stuff, we tend to say the robots, their tedium is their medium. They like to do things that everybody else dislikes doing. And the good thing is they don't give you any attitude while they're doing it. Why do people automate? Well, there's really four things, but on the top of people's minds, they tend to think that it's to save headcount. It's to we're going to replace people with automation. But if you think of it, if you're a salesperson and you had to forecast your sales every month, if we could automate the forecasting perspective, you wouldn't get rid of the salesperson. You'd probably have that salesperson spending more time. If you looked at a person who was on a call center, if you could make them more efficient and more effective and not do as much typing, you wouldn't get rid of the person. You'd get them spending more time with customers or the people who are dialing in. So the benefits that people are typically seeing are actually not the reduction in headcount. What they're really looking for is they're typically looking for faster outcomes. And faster outcomes frequently gives you a happier customer. It gives you a more engaged employee. If you think, there's a study done by PwC a while ago where they looked at it and they said that there's a millennial would rather earn $40,000 a year at a rewarding job versus $100,000 a year at a boring job. So this is something that takes a lot of the boring from work away from people and gets them more engaged. It also, just by the fact that it's automated and it's using a very process-based function to it, you get better consistency. So the outcomes give you better quality of data, fewer errors, higher compliance if that's something in your industry, but ultimately lower risk. And when you start to look at it, the costing of the platform and how it works, it tends to get people return on their investments within months. Frequently, we have customers who within the first 3 months are getting the cost that they invested in the platform back for free, or getting their costs back for them. So why are we doing it today? Well, it's really come as a result of 3 trends that were in the industry all coming and maturing at the same time. First off, there was the BPO and outsourcing, companies that outsourced, we've documented the processes that people use a lot better than ever before. So whether that's using flow charts or just long paragraphs of what the policy is and how do we implement it, that's all come together. The second thing is that with the evolution of cheap compute power and cheap storage, there's more data available than ever before. And that data is then connected via the internet or some network version to it, and the use of artificial intelligence to then go and read it. But where all those things have kind of been missing then is this third thing that's come up, which is UiPath making computer vision a reality, which means that rather than just screen scraping, we actually have the ability to know when we're clicking on a button, what is that button? So if the button was moved next time, we'd still know where it was, where to act with it. If information is being entered into a field, we know what the name of that field is or where it is. So the repeatability of functionality is there. So bringing that vision together with the processes that have been documented well, together with that availability of data and AI and cloud, those 3 things converging has really driven automation to the forefront. As a company, we're only really into this space for 5 years. 4 years ago, we were about a $100 million company, and today we have a market capitalization of about $10 billion. That makes us one of the fastest growing companies in the history of software. So in 5 years to go from 100 million to 10 billion, that's an indication that this trend is something that's substantial and there's something there. And we think that it's pretty cool stuff. And hopefully, as you see what we go through today, you'll start to see why. So what are the types of things that people automate? Regardless what type of an organization, whether you're a government organization, a private organization, a charity, you typically have some of these functions. You have an HR department, you have a finance department that orders stuff that has to account for that stuff inside their books. There's supply chain, there's IT. All these functions have elements to them that are tedious, that are repetitive, that are very well defined how they go. And we know that it's better to assign that kind of a task to a robot such that the person can go off and do things. Again, we can't imitate the mind. So how do you automate the functions to free up the person? But those are the type of things that are very that are typical for it. Now, the platform that we offer and that any automation team offers has three elements to it. The first is, how do you create the automation? How do you digitize the process behind it? You can call that the robot maker. Then, because you probably have multiple of these inside of an organization, you typically have a robot manager, something that manages it, that controls it, analyzes it, sees how often it's working, sees which one's free to assign work to. Then you have the robot itself. And these robots are really, they're just a flywheel for instructions. So in one end, you put the instructions to what you want it to do, and the other end, it just goes and executes them. So there's those three elements to it. Now, inside UiPath, we call the first one the studio, where you create it. We call how you manage it the orchestrator. And then we have bots. And the bots are one of two ways. They're either attended, meaning that a person sits beside them and tells it when to start doing something, or they're unattended, where they might sit in the back room or in the back office and they automatically go and do whatever they're supposed to. They're triggered by a request or by something changing a digital element chasing one way or the other. But really, any platform should have all three of these components. So with that said, maybe I'll introduce Smit. And Smit, can you just take us for a quick demonstration of a couple use cases of how automation might work?
Sure, Dan. Hello, everyone. For today, I just wanted to show you a manual process. And also so first I'll do the process manually, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one of my automation, and it's going to run on my laptop, and it will be showing that automated process. So for that, first let me share my screen. Okay, wonderful. So okay, so here is a website, and assume that I am a data entry operator for this company, which is a finance-based company. And what I do on a day-to-day basis is basically I come to this website, which is my work portal, and I log in using my credentials. And once I log in, I basically get into this portal, and it has the work items in here. I go into the work items and I look for a particular work item type, which is WI4. So though this is completed, I'm just gonna go and show you the process. So I look for WI4 items. I get into this this actions button, and that takes me to that work item detail page. And in here, I can see some of the vendor information, which is like tax ID, name, address, city, and the work item ID. What I do is I take note of the tax ID, and I copy that and paste it in a notepad, because I'm going to reference that later. And also I need to have the WI ID, and I'm going to go and take a note of that. So once I have that, I just copy the tax ID and I go back to home. I go to reports, and you see there's an icon for and there's a drop down for there's a select item for download monthly report. So I click on download monthly report. I put down the vendor tax ID. I put down the month as my first month. So, and then I put down the year as 2019 or 2020 if I wanted to, and then I click on download report. And as you can see, it gives me a report back, a downloadable report back. So I go in here and click on save as, accept the default values, click on the save item, and if the file is already there, I just say replace it. And after that, I go in, follow the same procedure, follow the February report, and download that report. So sometimes the report for that particular vendor might not be in the system, and hence I will be shown no report found for this vendor. So I'll click on OK and move forward. So I go to March, click on download report. Again, no report is found. So I think for this particular vendor from April through to July, I don't have any report. So I go directly into August and click on download report, and it gives me a report. And then I go in again and click on save as, and I save that and replace that. So let's just say I do that process for files up until December, and I download everything. So after that, what I need to do is I need to open that folder, and from that folder I basically have to open those individual files that I have just downloaded. It will have transactions in it. I need to copy those transactions. I need to open another Excel sheet, a blank Excel sheet, which I have already done it here for you. So I need to paste those transactions. So essentially my task is copy all the monthly transactions from the monthly files and paste it into an yearly file. Okay, so this is for the first file, and similarly let me look into the second file as well, which is in here. So I'll allow it to open. So this time around, because header is already copied before, so I'm not going to copy this time header. So I just copy the second row and go back to my file and paste it. Let's just say I have pasted all the transactions from January through to December. Then after that, what I need to do is I will go to File and I will go to Save As. I'll go to Browse, and essentially I need to basically create that file somewhere. Okay, so I'll name it as yearly file, and I will probably give it a tax ID number, so which is this one here, just so that I can reference it back if tomorrow somebody comes in and asks me where is the yearly file for that person or for that particular vendor, so that I can provide back to my manager. And I will say 2019 because that represents the year, and then I click on save. So something like that. After that, I close everything. Let's just assume I've closed everything. Then I go back to home, and after going back to home, I go into report, and you will see another select button, another select icon, or another select text, which is upload yearly report. So I click on upload yearly report. After that, it asks me for vendor tax ID that I copy from here and then paste it, and then I basically choose my year. I select the report file, and that report file is essentially present in here. So let's just say this was the report file that I added, or the yearly file that we created. Obviously, we created something different, but let's just assume this was the file that we created. So I'll choose that. I'll click on open, and I will try and click on upload report. So as soon as I upload the report, it gives me a confirmation ID. There's no way that I can actually copy it. So I basically have to go in here and basically type it on my own. But let's just say we have typed it and it's available. So after that, what needs to happen is I should go back to home again, and I should go back to the work items, and I should go back to the generate wherever my transaction is present. So this is where we came from. I'll click here, and I will click on update work items, and then I will add that ID that was generated after adding the yearly file to the portal. And then I will mark the transaction status as completed. I will click on update work item, and after that I will close on here. Okay, and then after that I will go back to the work items and then look for the second WI4 item that I can find from the list, which is this one, and then I'll start working here again. So as you can see,
it's a very repetitive, boring process that somebody
Absolutely.
might have to go as part of their job once a day or once a week or whatnot, going into files, copying them, relocating them, blending them into Excel spreadsheets, uploading them again, renaming them, and all those kind of things. This is just one example, and obviously you've created this. This applies to pretty much any other platform, though, right? Any other tools and jobs.
Absolutely, yes, Dan. And the avenues for people for humans to make mistakes are quite high. And in fact, while developing that, I would have copied the wrong tax ID or the wrong WIID number, and then I will miss the entire file altogether. Let's just say if this is a process which is very sensitive from the finance perspective, then what would happen is it would come under the audit items, and if somebody were to audit and find a human mistake in that, then either I would have to go on a training or I would get fired. But this is a perfect example, which is rule-based, low exception rate, which should be automated. And it should be automated so that the efficiency of humans should directly go up rather than eliminating the job or whatsoever.
So can you show me how you'd automate that, or show me an
Yeah,
automated
sure.
version of that?
Sure. So you have already you've already showed us how to, you've already showed us the tool that needs to be used to create this. So I have already automated that using our studio, which is UiPath Studio, or the tool that you will use to create the code, which will automate the entire process for you. So this is how that canvas looks like. It has a very drag and drop kind of feeling to it. So you can basically, so let's just say this is one of the file. You can just drag and drop things in and out from this canvas. Okay, but in this case, let me close up this and run that process for us. So as soon as I run it, a dark bluish color icon will appear, and it will open up the website. It will log me in securely into the website. It is all robot doing. I'm not touching anything. So it's going to go to one of my work items, copy all that work item ID and tax ID. After that, it's going to go to download the monthly report, pick up on January, pick up on the year 2019, and start to download the reports for me. Okay, click on save as. I have already configured a location for where it has to save all that file. So all that naming convention, everything, I've configured it once, and it just does that again. So if the report is not found, then just move on to a different month. Okay, so we've come till March, and it's going to go again. Click on save as, pick up that. Now it's going to go and download the April month report. So for this demonstration purpose, I have my current month is I've configured my current month as May, so it's going to download everything from January through to May. So this is the last month that it's going to do, and then it's going to collate all that result. So now it has come until here. So it has reports from January through to May. So now it's going to go and upload the yearly report that it has created. So as you can see, it's typing. It's going to go upload the report, got that ID out. It's going to go back to that same work item, and then it's going to go and mark the transaction item as completed. And yeah, that's about the process. And after that, it's again going to go to the next transaction and start to download all those files once again for a different transaction. So whatever I have explained to you in like 5 to 7 minutes, it was able to do that in less than 2.5 minutes. And I have deliberately slowed it down just so that I can talk through while the robot is running. Otherwise, the robot could be very, very fast, and screens would change quite a lot, and you won't be able to make sense of what the robot is doing. So that's how fast it is. It could have done all of these 5 or 6 files within 30 seconds if had I not slowed it down. So that was my demo for the manual process and the automated process. Now this is this is from the perspective of RPA 101. Once you start to move into subjects like RPA 301, you are talking of artificial intelligence being added to it. You are talking about natural language understanding being provided to the robots, and robots are able to work with the human language and get the entities out of the human speech or text, and then do some and then take some action upon it. So all of those subjects and all of those subjects and topics you can learn, and there's a place where you can learn all of these topics, and that place is called our academy website. So if you go to the portal called academy.uipath.com, and it's a free website for all the users worldwide, so anybody can actually register using their email IDs. Once you log into the system, you will essentially come to the home screen. But what you want to do for from the RPA 101 perspective is that you want to go to the learning plans, and within that learning plans, you will see all of these courses or the learning plans which are available to you. And then one of the learning plans is actually a developer's learning plan. And what you can do is you can start that course, and it will essentially take you through all the theory which is required for you to get trained in the UiPath platform and be this awesome person who is able to automate quite a lot of work for the Word community. Okay, so that's where you can find all the learning resources from. Obviously, when you go and dig deeper into it, then you will be able to find a couple of other courses as well, like so the foundation is RPA 101, and then you will also find something called RPA Infrastructure Engineer Foundation. So once you wanted to deploy it, you need to do that course. Similarly, you have RPA Advanced Developer course, which is like probably level 2 or level 3 and you would do this course after doing the level 1 course. Okay, so whole heaps of material is available here. Feel free to come in here and browse the catalog, and you'll find all the help that is required for you to create awesome automations. Now, switching gear a little bit, I know I've mentioned UiPath Studio. Now, one question that directly comes to your mind is how to download all that tool or how to use that platform. So what we've got is a UiPath community platform, and that community platform, just like Academy, is also free for developers across the world. So what you can do is, all you have to do is just go to a website called platform.uipath.com, and once you go there, what you're gonna find is it will take you to a login screen, but underneath that box, you'll see the sign up option. You can click on the sign up option and sign up with an email, or if you've got like social logins, you can use the social logins in here as well. Just sign up with the email and provide these basic details, and after that, your tenant of the orchestrator, which is the robot manager, would be available to you then and there. And once you log in to that tenant or platform, after registering, once you log in, you will come to a screen like this. Okay, so once you go to platform.uipath.com, you will come here. Okay, the screen would look like that, and within admin, if you go, and you will be able to check the number of licenses. So you will have a couple of licenses for robots, which would be attended or unattended, that Dan Kiran mentioned. You will be able to see a couple of studio licenses in here, and then you'll also be able to see other services. Okay, but most importantly, the thing that you would need is to download the installers. And on the right hand side, once you click on the home screen, on the right hand side, you will have the link to download the Studio or the Studio X. So just click in there and download download the Studio for yourself and install that. It only works for Windows machine. It doesn't work for Mac machines. So please remember that that you need to use the Windows operating system when working with UiPath. Again, you also have the link to Resource Center available, and from the Resource Center, you have all the guides available in here. So you have the guides for Studio, and it will tell you what to do, how to do, and where to do. Kind of, it will answer all those questions for you. Okay. Now, what to do once you get stuck? So let's just say you've built something, and but something or the other is not working for you. What I do best is I just do Google search. So like string to number conversion, maybe just say UiPath in the end. And what you see is you start to get all these listings from forum.uipath.com. So what you can do is just come directly to forum.uipath.com. More likely you're going to find that the kind of problem that you are facing, somebody has already faced that problem and posted on the forum website, and that's why the Google search is going to show you the right results at the very start. But just in case you don't find your answer, just come in here, post your questions, and somebody from the UiPath forum, and we are so proud to have such a versatile community available worldwide, and they are more than happy to answer any questions that you might have on the UiPath platform. Okay, so that's how you download UiPath, and that's how you you get your questions answered from the forum.uipath.com. Obviously, for this competition, we have got different support mechanisms, but I will let Dan take over and explain those to you. Over to you, Dan.
Sure, Smith. Before you go, we've got a number of questions that have come in, and I think some of them are right up your alley. One was the advantages of UiPath using UiPath Robot over Puppeteer or technology of that nature, which is a bit more API centric.
Right. Okay. That's a great question. So one of the real advantage of using technology like UiPath is that you can do automations directly on the target systems, like directly on the UI. Sometimes sometimes I look at some of the government organizations. Not all the applications have the APIs exposed, and then you're left with no option but to do some of the work manually or directly going to the database and write your database queries, for which sometimes you don't get permissions. But what you get permission on is the user interface, and directly on the user interface, you want to do any operations like get some data or create some data. You can do that on the user interface rather than going directly to the database. So that's obviously one advantage. Think of UiPath platform as a glue between the systems. So if you've got two systems within your within your solution architecture, and those two applications do not talk to each other, then you can essentially have UiPath in between that can act as a glue. The beauty of UiPath platform is it can do API based integration as well as UiPath, as well as UI based integrations as well. So you've got best of both worlds available within one platform.
Absolutely, and that allows you to reach back into mainframes as well as going forward to other platforms coming forward.
Absolutely, yes.
So another question, programming skills. What programming skills are required?
Okay, so most of the platform is very drag and drop. So I hope I'm sharing my screen. up until now. Okay, yeah. So I'll show you something like, let me show you the open and login code. Okay, so that's my open and login code, and for that, as you can see, I'm basically getting the credentials, and then I'm opening up the browser. So if I have to show you how to open up the browser, all I have to type in is just open, type in within the activities, and open browser comes in. So, and then I basically put down my URL. If you wanted to provide a variable for that, you can do that. After that, what I'm doing is essentially, so if I go back here, so what I did was type into this email field, type into this password field, and then clicked on login. So for that, all I have to do is just to type into activity and drag and drop that type into activity over here. And all I have to do is just indicate that element inside the browser, indicate that element, provide what text you wanted to type into it. So I'll just type that into, and after that you type into again, which is type into password. But because password is a different kind of field, you will say type secure text. Okay. So just so that nobody sees your password, and you do that, you come in here, indicate that element, and that's it. And obviously I'm not going to type the password, but it's all very encrypted, very, very safe. All the industry leading encryption and decryption algorithms are used. So be sure, like some of the words, top renowned government agencies use our software, so you can find all the compliance requirements already built into it. And then one last thing that I wanted to do within this is click on the login button. So I just say a click activity, and then basically take that click activity and post it here. So oops. Yeah, and then indicate the element inside the browser, click on login, and that's you're done. Essentially, whenever I run this code, it will basically go into those three fields and start to put in the email, password, and click on the login button. So if you don't have any coding background, you may find the user interface very, very intuitive for you to write in some code and learn via your journey. But if you're already a great programmer, whether C#, VB.NET, or Java or Python background, you will find yourself right at home with this tool. So we've got, again, best of both worlds built into the tool.
It's good, and actually UiPath is regularly called out for its ease of use for the interface and drag and drop piece to it. Although I do still think some for the average developer, having a background and framework for the programming helps. One of the questions on your automation demo: what happens if there were errors or exceptions during the workflow? So if something went wrong partway through it, what would happen?
Right. Yeah, sure. So then one thing I didn't show in today's demo is robots have to have a forgiving nature. So if things break down, my robots first need to understand that things have broken down, and then it needs to restart that transaction. So what would have happened if my program did break down at some point in time is that it's going to close all the apps. So there are two kind of exceptions that it can have. One is business exception, which is data related. And I cannot fix it because it's coming from somewhere else and it's in data. Somebody else is the custodian of that data, and they need to fix it. But let's just say it has to do something with the application. Okay, some of the fields have changed, or robot was not able to find something, or there was a timeout that has happened. So what it's going to do is it's going to close all that applications, okay, and then reopen them with an intention that I have failed last time, but I know where I have failed last time. So I'm going to pick up that same transaction and I'm going to open up the applications over again and and then run the transactions from there. So we have created a framework called RE framework, and which is Robotic Enterprise Framework, and it has essentially got all the right ingredients in it for you to be able to recover from that position. So if I'm able to show you, if the rule exception, if the exception happens, then it goes into the next transaction. But if an error happens, then it goes into initializing the whole path once again for me and reinitiate everything. If it fails so I have coded it this way: if it continuously fail for more than 5 times in just one transaction, then I'm going to go and send an email out to myself saying, I have failed on this transaction for more than 5 times. Could you please come in, have a look at the logs, and fix me?
And where is the log? There is a logging back into this then? I'm just asking a question from, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, the orchestrator is the manager. So all the logging is available within the orchestrator. So if you come in here, go to home, go to the instance of the orchestrator. So I'll show you the orchestrator instance itself. So within the orchestrator instance, if I go into logs, I will be able to see all of that logs. So in fact, all of these logs were created just a few minutes back.
Cool.
Yep.
And one last one here. Does it wait for web browsers to load? And how does it deal with pagination? So if you've got a long browser and the area you actually want to hit is on the second page, say,
yeah,
how does it load and how does it paginate?
Absolutely great question. So what happens is, if the element that I'm looking for is already present in DOM, even though it might be so low on the screen, but if it's in DOM, I would be able to retrieve that object from the document object model of the browser itself and be able to find it and click on it or interact with it whatever way I want. But let's just say if that's not available, then you have got activities like scroll, and what you can do is you can essentially scroll using that activity. You can physically scroll the browser down, and that's when the refresh DOM would load, and I'll be able to find that field. So whatever you can think of from the browser interaction perspective or the application UI perspective, we've got you covered. Yeah, you will not find a use case that you have and UiPath is not able to interact with that window for you.
And inside that library on the left-hand side that you have everything from applications. You can download libraries that have fields for it, so Salesforce or Oracle or
absolutely,
whatever
yes.
to it. You have the ability to grab. There's artificial intelligent machine learning things that can be grabbed and inserted into the cycles. There's the wealth of packages that are available. It comes right through the correct.
Yes, Dan. So as you can see, I've gone into my managed packages, and then I've searched for Salesforce from the official feed, and I've got a package here. Similarly, I can search for machine learning, and I will be able to find machine learning services and document understanding services, Google Vision services. A whole heaps of activities are available from UiPath, and that's primary reason why we are #1 in the market, because we've provided so many activities right out of the box that you don't have to custom code few things for yourself.
One of our fellow partners in this event is AWS. Can you just type in AWS?
Yep.
I'm not sure if you got those already downloaded or.
Yeah, I know AWS was included. Let me see on.
I should have asked you to do that beforehand to check in, but.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I know AWS feeds have been definitely added. So maybe they are in the pre-release. Yeah, just I haven't configured them yet. So as soon as I configure that feed, it should be definitely available.
Okay. So that's about that's the platform. Again, There's no charge for anything you've seen today. All the training, whether you're a business administrator or a developer or an architect, those platform education packages are all available. Just do Academy and UiPath online, and that'll bring you to it. Set up your login and your way to the races. If you go UiPath Community, you will be brought to the site which has all the forums, but also if you do UiPath Community download, it'll bring you right to the right to the packages to develop. The orchestrator can be found, you can leverage off the cloud implementation of that, and then have the studio on your laptop. All those pieces are available, and they're all available free. In fact, they're available for organizations up to $5 million in revenue, I think is the size that we say that we make the platform available for free to. So full platform, and we actually make all the features that we end up putting in our production version. We bring those out to community first, and then we bring them into our production version, or the pay-for version of the platform. So really, any feature, any function goes there first and should be available to you. How you use it, you can either learn through the Academy, stumble through it yourself, or or ask questions inside the forum. The forum is probably one of the most active communities I've seen and been a part of in my 30 years of IT. And I was a very active person within the Sun community, and Sun and Java was very, very active in the social community. On the weekend of GovHack, our partners at Infosys will be available as well. They'll have mentors and subject matter experts available to assist as well. And they will be available through the standard GovHack resource tools, which I believe is Zoom and Slack, but I'll leave that with you, Matthew, to describe those pieces to it. Very excited to be working inside of GovHack and sitting beside our good partners at Infosys to make this happen. I hope we've shown you enough to get you interested. This is, as I say, a large part of where the future is going, and pretty exciting stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the introduction to robotic process automation and how it could be used by hackers with some automation that might save having to build their own tools to clean some of the messy and hard to navigate data sets. There's over 100,000 Australian and New Zealand open data sets available to the hackers on the GovHack weekend, with more than half of them in PDFs and HTML. And in addition, they're segmented across multiple locations. So I know I've had to copy and paste lines from PDFs to put in CSV files. So I'm sure there's a huge opportunity here for our hackers using tools like this to scrape some of those data sets. I'd like to invite everyone watching to join us again tomorrow evening for 3 more sessions of the GovHack virtual conference, starting at 6 p.m. Sydney time. We have an open data using Amazon Web Services QuickSight and Anthea, followed by a session Amazon Web Services Amplify Framework at 6:30 p.m. and another Infosys session starting at 7 p.m. Sydney time tomorrow, which will be a conversation between Monash University and the Australian Federal Police. So thank you again, Dan Smith from UiPath, and thank you, Jacob, and our sponsor, Infosys.
Thank you.